Good thing they make nice wine glasses nowadays. You know, they're good for something. Good evening, everyone. Glad to see you all here. Super evening. It's 25 down in Israel. I'm not quite sure what it is in Germany. It's about +5 here. So
I ate in Germany.
Oh boy. And we got them from Israel to Germany to Russia to Western Canada to Eastern Canada, USA. We've got them all over the place tonight. So we've got about 18 people. I suspect we're probably going to get about 5 or 6 more stagger in here a little bit late. But Tom Ross is getting ready to join from Beaverton, Oregon in just a moment, as soon as Randall lets him in. And we're going to have people from all over. And again, for those of you who remember, some of you like myself forget frequently, this is ICC month for our club. Last week we had the Russian-US ICC. Tonight we're going to hear from the Canadians, and next week we're going to hear from the Germans. And somewhere in the future, I don't know, Felix, maybe sometime in the future we can have the Israeli ICC people come in and talk to us.
Yes, why not?
That might be interesting also, another perspective. So we're just all trying to make connections to help the world be a little bit better. So welcome everybody this evening. Glad to see you're all here. I'm going to roll into my president's comments here in just a moment. And after I do, I'm going to be turning it over to my secretary and finding out a little bit of news. And I've got a little bit of news later on I'll pass on, but certainly I'm sure he'll have a little bit of news. Opening comments from the president. I don't know what we're going to do. I'm kind of lost. People keep asking me, when are we going to stop having virtual meetings and have meetings again in person? And I tell them that I'm not sure that's a good idea. I'm debating it back and forth in my head and trying to figure out, should we have live meetings? We could. It's relatively safe. We only got 9 people, small crowd, got spacious room, can sit far apart, but I'm not sure that's a good thing to do yet. I think that online is better. The other reason I think online is better is because there's so many of you. How many of you are going to fly here to St. Petersburg to attend our meeting next Wednesday if we have it live? I know many of you would raise your hand if I said, do you want to? Yes, many of you would, but you're not going to. So therefore, we reach a whole lot more people all over the world by having these online meetings. So we have to figure out if we're going to have them, maybe they'll be virtual. Maybe that's the answer. I'm not sure, but we'll see how it turns out in the future. But I'm not making a decision to go one way or the other right now. So I'm just kind of hanging loose, and we're going to keep doing what we're doing. We have heard that there is more news coming out of the world about things going on, different districts, different regions, different areas, different clubs doing all kinds of things. People are starting to respond to Randall's emails that he's been sending out as a weekly update, a minutes from our meeting, with some of you on the screen here, some of your pictures in it, because some of you were there and some of you were speakers. So we're trying to reach out as far as we can, get those arms spread way, way, way out, not just close, much further than I can reach in a room, spreading them around the world and welcoming all you here, and hopefully going to cause something in the future to help the situation with Rotarians in Russia, to grow our clubs and make them stronger, to make it a permanent thing here, if at all possible, and also help through cooperation between Russia and all the other countries that are involved. That's sort of our focus. So this month's focus has been on the ICCs, and the last one we just had with the American ICC, American-Russian ICC, was very interesting. I'm sure tonight with the Canadians is going to be just as interesting. So I'm going to turn it over to Randall for a few minutes and find out what the secretary has got to tell us about notes or messages or whatever. And then I'll come back and introduce our speaker this evening. Oh, forgot, Randall, hold on. I forgot technicalities. Have to take care of the technical things. Michael sometimes forget these things. He doesn't remember things as well as he used to. Those of you who have been with us many times, you know that we do the 4-way test. Those of you who are new, if you're a Rotarian, this is the 4-way test. You already know it. If you're a guest and not a Rotarian, you will hear about it. The 4-way test of things that we think can say and do. I will say them, and if everybody will please turn on your microphones, unmute yourself. Everybody, please turn on your microphones. Everybody. We got almost everybody. There we go. There we go. All right. So I'm going to say them, and if you'll repeat them after I finish. The first one, is it the truth?
Is it
Is
the
it the
truth?
truth?
Is it fair to all concerned?
Is it
Is
fair
it
to
fair
all
to all
concerned?
concerned?
Concerned.
Will it build goodwill and better friendship?
Will
Will
it build goodwill and better
friendship?
friendships?
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Will be beneficial to all concerned?
And we're talking about adding a fifth one because we think they should also add their, will it be fun?
Will it be fun?
It'd be fun. For sure.
We're thinking about adding a fifth one. We think maybe that's necessary because we should be having fun at these meetings. We should laugh a little, smile a little. Everybody can use an extra laugh nowadays. I had a quote that I put out a while back and I said, when you wake up in the morning and look in the mirror, if you have more than one smile, take it and pass it to somebody else who doesn't. I think we need to pass our smiles around. Randall, I'm going to pass the ball and the smile over to you and hear what you have to say as our secretary.
Thank you very much, President Michael. I don't have too much to say today that's prepared. I just want to share one thing. In our meeting today, we've got 24 people, and we have about 300, a little less than 300 people on our mailing list. And I'm really pleased that I think people don't feel I'm spamming them because we get about a 60% opening rate when we send out our invitation each week. So I'm trying to keep it concise, not too much. Very much want to introduce who is speaking and who is coming to speak to us, because we really are very fortunate in this time of COVID lockdown online meetings that we have some really interesting and powerful speakers joining us this year. We've had past presidents of Rotary, we've had district governors, many district governors. We're overflowing with district governors, past district governors, Rotary International directors. And each meeting that we have, we are recording, cutting out the bits at before the meeting starts and after it ends, and sharing it on our YouTube channel. So if anyone hasn't noticed that, please let me know and I'll share a link to that, and you can watch yourselves if you've been speaking to us, or watch any meetings where you missed anyone who was speaking to us. And we've had some really interesting and speakers on a variety of topics, and that's just a plus out of this COVID time. Second thing I want to mention, we had our treasurer shared a video a couple of days ago with the first boy, a little boy, 4-year-old boy named Makar, who was the first child that we sponsored to go to receive a set of treatment from the Center for the Rehabilitation of the Child. And he's an amazing little boy. He's extremely photogenic, and the video really captures it with him, his antics, because he's become very much an actor, his mother said, and with the words from the mother, who is very, very emotional about the experience of and the comprehensive nature of the treatment that he's receiving. So it's a really powerful video. I shared that with my Russian tutor, who was introduced to me by Rami, who's our member off on my left here. And Marina, who's in Kiev, watched the video, and she was really moved by it. And she said 10% of the money that I'm going to pay her for my Russian language lessons, she wants to contribute to that project. So I thought, that's amazing. And then I felt embarrassed because I should immediately say, I'll match that. So I will. So that'll give us another 10,000 rubles towards the third child, because we've already sponsored 2 so far. We've received donations from Antonina, from Natalia Lechat in Canada, and from the Moscow Club. So we're about halfway there. Every bit helps, and we really want to get your support for that project, or the support of your clubs or districts if possible. And Michael will, I'm sure, talk about that later. So that's all I have to say. Next week, we will be hearing from past District Governor Jörg Dienenthal from the Germany-Russia ICC. And we look forward to that too. So back to you, President Michael, on this side.
Thank you very much, Randall. Very concise. And again, because of your efforts, like you said, we're reaching 300 people. And if we're getting 30 out of 300, that's 10%. I can tell you almost any company in the world who could get 10% of the people that they send things out to respond, they would be super, super happy. So I think we're doing very, very well with our 10%. So that's very good. Appreciate that. We're going to have a speaker tonight, and Randall was talking about past district governors. Well, guess what? Our current speaker tonight is also a past district governor. Whoops, past district governor. This is a young lady who has done lots of things in life, and she actually, believe it or not, according to her bio, I don't know if it's factual or not, she said that she retired so she could work with Rotary. My goodness, how many people are going to retire and dedicate their time to Rotary? Judy Byron is a past district governor of Rotary District 5020. She got involved in Rotary in 1998 and was involved, including coming to Russia, the Far East Russia, in 2002. She continued to work in those group study groups and has done many things with them. She's a district foundation chair and a district international service chair. Now, what I really like, and I was talking to her about this earlier this evening, is that she was a corrections officer earlier in her career. And I thought that was very interesting. This is a woman you're not going to want to mess around with. She was a correctional officer. So be careful if you see her in person, meet her at the international conference, be careful what you do. She may just put the clamps on you, so be careful. But Judy is still out there working hard for Rotary. And because of that, we all love her for that purpose. She's going to talk to us tonight about the Canadian-Russian InterCountry Committee and tell us a little bit about its past and where it's going. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Judy. Judy, do you have screen share?
Just a moment. I'll put screen share up. Oops, let's see. Have you, Randall, have you made me a co-host so that I can share my screen? Randall?
He's working on it.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can share your screen.
Now I can? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, let me try. Because what comes up?
Oh, if you have a problem.
There is a problem. So I
Okay,
want
I'll
to
make you a co-host.
Yes, please. Thank you. That will work much better. Are we there?
Not yet.
Not yet.
We see you, we don't see the screen yet.
Okay. But you've made me. Okay, so I will, let me just go back here. Now share screen. You see what comes up is
What comes up?
a notice
What do you see?
saying desktop 1. Yeah, okay, desktop 1. Allow Zoom, open system. Oh my goodness. Is it not coming up?
It might be that you have to
Zoom.
configure your computer to
Zoom,
allow it to
zoom,
share the
zoom.
screen.
Okay, when I'm hosting, I don't have a problem with the pictures.
That's all right.
Now I'm having a problem.
We're not in a big rush, Judy. Just take your time and we'll get to it.
We'll get through it, sure, sure. Well, I could speak with you without the pictures, but it's much more interesting with the pictures.
Mhm.
What is your preference?
With the pictures, we'll wait a moment. We'll see if you can get
We'll
it.
wait a moment. Okay. So now I'm going to share screen. What comes up is a white square with desktop 1, whiteboard, iPhone, iPad, Microsoft
You have
PowerPoint.
to
We'll try
choose.
that.
You have to choose.
Yeah. Okay. Not yet, hey? Well, this is frustrating. Desktop 1.
You can try experimenting with different options if you want.
Yeah,
We'll
I
tell
think
you
I
if it
might.
works.
It says multiple parts. One participant can share at a time. That's probably why.
I'm not sharing.
Yeah, yeah, no one's sharing. So you're completely,
I'm
you've got all
on
the
my own. Oh
superpowers. Yeah, you've
dear.
got all the superpowers now. If you choose to use them.
Isn't that interesting? Dropbox, no. Google Drive, Dropbox, no. Microsoft SharePoint, no.
Your
If
file
you
has
want
to
to
be
just
open already.
if you want to check, click on any of those just to see if it works.
All right.
If we then see anything,
Let's see a
because right now we
Dropbox.
see you.
See, I still get open system preferences that come up.
Are you using a Mac?
Mac, oh, is there any other kind?
Okay, well
Yes.
then there is a you're in the situation my wife was in. You have to open the system preferences and you have to choose in the security setting. You have to click a box that says that Zoom has access you grant Zoom access to your screen.
Okay,
That's-
under privacy, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
She
Zoom,
was screaming and
US.
yelling at me one day because it wasn't working for her.
Oh dear.
You're much more common than she was.
Zoom. Okay, Zoom's on now. Zoom is allowed.
You might have to leave and come back. You might have to restart the Zoom in order for that preference.
Are you trying to get rid of me?
No, but Michael has jokes in the back and he's ready to.
Okay,
no
I
problem.
think I will do that then. I'll log out and then come back, okay?
Okay.
All right, we'll try that.
All right, Randall.
I'm sorry about this.
No,
That's
okay.
fine. That's fine. While
Yeah.
you're
You
doing
didn't-
that, Randall said I should tell a joke, so I'll tell a joke. There was this farmer in the United States who grew potatoes, and because of the COVID, he couldn't get any help to come into the country to help him dig up his spring. It's springtime there, and we should be plowing the field, turning the soil, getting everything ready. Well, he didn't have any help because there was no immigrants coming in to help him. So the only person that used to help him was his son. Last year, his son committed a crime and went to prison. So the father wrote to the son in prison. He said, "Son, I think we're going to have a problem. We're not going to be able to grow any crops this year because I have nobody to dig up the soil for me or to turn it over. I can't do it all by myself. It's too much." He says, "I really wish you were here." He sent this letter to his son in prison. In prison, his son gets a letter, his son reads it, and his son writes him a letter back. He says, "Father, don't worry if you need money. When I robbed the bank, I buried it all in the field. It is scattered all over the field in the ground." So, of course, the prison reads all the mail going in and out of the prison. The prisoners, the prison people read it. Pretty soon, the next thing you know, the next day, the farmer has got all these policemen coming to his field with shovels, and they're all digging, turning holes over, turning, trying to find the money. So the father writes back to his son. He says, "You won't believe this, but the police showed up and they're turning all the soil over for me. I'm going to be able to plant potatoes." His son wrote back. He said, "I couldn't help you from in here, but I could cause other people to help you." See, there was no money in the field
Yeah, of
anywhere.
course, there was no money.
Yeah, but he figured out how to get all the policemen to help his father turn over the soil. Yeah, very tricky man he was. All right, is our Judy back yet?
Yep, Judy's back.
All right.
Judy, you're muted, just so you know. We see Judy. We can't hear Judy though.
I don't see Judy on the screen.
She's here. Judy, can you unmute yourself? Judy, we see.
Mute my audio.
There you
How's
go.
that?
There you go. That's
There you
better.
go.
That's
Now
good.
we can hear you.
Okay,
Mhm.
now you can hear me. Now let's see if I can share my screen with you. Okay, basic desktop, share. It tells me right back to go to system preferences. So it's just not going to let me, okay, share, privacy, general, privacy. It's not going to allow it. Camera, no, reminder, screen, speech rec.
Judy, if that doesn't work, can you send that file of slides to Randall?
I will definitely do that right now.
Well, I was going to say, if you can't show it, maybe he can.
I will send it right now. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
just a moment
All right.
here.
Next joke.
Next joke. You are a master with your
In
jokes.
the university, it was an engineering university, and there was 4 straight A students. These boys were super smart in the university. They knew everything, every class, straight A's 100% all the time. So it came up time for the final at the end of the year of their senior year, and they were going to graduate, but they had one more final to take and pass. No sweat, they knew everything, right? So on Friday evening, instead of going home and studying over the weekend and then coming back to school on Monday, they decided we're going to get on a bus and head down to London and have a few pints at the pub on Friday night. Well, they went down to the pub on Friday night and got drunk very late. Woke up Saturday, said, "Oh, we don't feel so good, maybe we should study." And one of them said, "Yeah, but we're here in London with all the pubs and we know all the answers to the test. Let's have a party again on Saturday night." So Saturday night, they went out and got drunk again. Sunday morning, they decided to wake up. They're talking about what they want to do, and they slept till noon. They said, if we go have a few beers, we can drive back to school and be there by tomorrow morning. Well, that night they got drunk on Sunday night. So Monday morning they wake up and they say, "Oh my God, we're going to be late for the class and late for the test." So they jump on a bus and head back to university. When they show up, the professor had already locked the door. Wouldn't let them in. They were not going to be able to take their final tests. They were not going to pass. They were not going to graduate. So they had to put their heads together and come up with an idea. And these were very, very smart boys, very smart boys. So they all got together and they said, okay, let's make up a story. So they go to the professor on Monday morning and they say, beg him to let them take the test. And he said, "Well, what happened?" And they said, "Well, we were going to be here on Sunday, just come back on Sunday evening so we could be here on Monday morning. But on the way back, we had our friend's car and it had a flat tire. And when we went to get the spare tire out of the back, it was flat also. We had no spare, no flat, no extra tire. We were in between cities. We had to walk a long time. We just couldn't make it. So the professor says, "Okay, I'll give you a chance. Come in tomorrow morning, you can take the test." So they show up on Tuesday morning. He puts all 4 of them in 4 different rooms, 1 man in each different room. He gives them all the same test. And he tells them the first question is worth 5 points. The second question is worth 95 points. You got 1 hour to finish the test. So as they open the book, the first question in there is a mathematical engineering equation. So they had no problem. They go through this out, right? Now, second question, when I turned the page, it said, which tire was flat? I'm not sure all 4 of them could guess the correct tire. We'll have to wait and see, but they weren't as smart as they thought they were. Okay, is Judy back yet?
I'm here. I'm just trying to send it to you. It's a big file, so it might be a bit of a problem. But how about we do this? How about if I just speak with you, and then
Right.
If the pictures come through, fabulous. If they don't, I can send them at a later time.
No
Will
problem,
that work
Judy.
for you? Okay, I am sorry about this.
Randall, keep an eye open for him. That's
Judy,
fine.
Just not
Judy,
working.
can you put your PowerPoint into the group chat? That'll be the easiest way to try to access
Group
it.
chat under, oh,
Just drag it in there.
can I
because
do that? I didn't know I could do that.
Try that, because that
All right.
might be a better solution. Then everybody will
Then
have a
everybody
chance
can
to
see
get
it.
it too.
Okay, okay, doke. I'll go back to the Zoom, and I don't know if I can do that. I'll try. Zoom. I seem
In the
to lose
meantime,
it.
while you're doing that, Judy, I'm going to take
Uh-huh.
care of something else. I'm going to take care of something else for the club while you're doing that.
Okay,
Randall, I'm going to have to screen share while she's sending that file.
Go ahead.
Okay. I should announce this first before I show the picture. I should announce it first. We have for the group this evening, 30 of you, you have seen this lady on here every single week. This lady is not in St. Petersburg. She is located in Canada, but she has been a continuing member of this club for a long time. She's always participating. She's donating to our charity project. She helps us all the time, and she is working on trying to build relationships between Russia and Canada because she has relatives in both places. She has been a very, very strong supporter of our club. A few weeks ago, she was nominated to be an honorary member of our club. So we had our board meeting, we voted on it, and she was selected. So I would like to announce that Antonina Durham, Rotarian Antonina Durham, is now an honorary member in good standing of the Rotary Club of St. Petersburg International. This document was signed by me today, and we will be passing the official certificate over to her. But because of her contributions to the club, being here each week and giving us ideas and helping us, and the donations that she has made to our project, we would like to congratulate her. If everybody will, please, let's give her a round of applause for all the work she's been doing and helping the club. Thank you very much.
Yay.
So we have a new honorary member. We also
Oh,
currently,
I'm in shock. Thank you.
Dear, you've been helping an awful lot. So we also have another member on the screen here somewhere, Gabriella, wherever she is. She is also an honorary member of our club, and she used to be she's a past president of this club, and she also. So we do identify those people who have continued to support our club and to help us. Because we're a small club, we need as much help as we can get. And in this case here are two lovely ladies, one already honorary chairman and now a second one, who've been helping us from afar. You don't have to be physically in the club to help somebody. You can help someone around the world, even from afar. And Zoom has just made this a whole lot easier. But we know that these two ladies have our heart and our club in their heart, and we appreciate their efforts and their contributions. So thank you, Antonina. Congratulations. And we can't wait until we can see you live again, whenever that is in the near future. Whenever all this silly stuff are going on around the world stops and we can get together, we'd be happy to see you again. You're always welcome. Thank you, Antonina. Okay, Judy, how are we doing?
Okay, well, I have the chat and I have the PowerPoint and I drag it over to put it in the file and it doesn't seem to want to stay there. So that's interesting.
Okay,
The other way is
It's
to
coming. It's coming.
Is
You
it
sent it to
coming, do you
me.
think?
Yeah.
It's
Well, it's
He's
coming.
get-
It will
Randall's
take-
not
getting it.
really
take a
coming.
while. It
It's
is
not
really
really
coming.
coming.
It is
No.
really coming, but it will take a while. So
Oh, it will
Okay.
take a while. Okay,
yes,
okay.
it's 52
Do you want me to
megabytes.
start talking
Yes,
to you?
please.
Yes, go right
Yes,
ahead,
please.
Judy.
I think that would be a good
your
idea.
presentation.
Okay,
Hold on,
okay.
before you do, Judy, I suggest
Yes.
everybody go ahead and click on the speaker view on your screen. If you click on your speaker view, that will help you so that you can see Judy better when she's talking.
Okay.
Judy, the floor is yours.
Are we good? Okay. Oh, please do accept my apologies for this major glitch. It's not happened to me before, but everything's an experience, right? So President Michael and fellow Rotarians from across Canada, the United States, and Russia, it is indeed my pleasure to have the opportunity to speak with you today about the Canada-Russia ICC. I've had the privilege to tour Russia on 3 separate occasions. My first and second trips were focused entirely on Rotary. My first was in 2002, and it started off in Vladivostok as a group study exchange chair, touring the Amur Oblast for 6 weeks, from Vladivostok to Khabarovsk to Birobidzhan to Belgorsk and Ussurisk. It was that first trip in 2002 that piqued my interest in learning more about this vast country. The group study exchange team was given multiple opportunities to visit like professional agencies. Yes, that included prisons, speak at universities, participate in community projects, and best of all, stay with fellow Rotarians in their homes. A perfect opportunity to learn. I've never forgotten the multiple lessons learned on that group study exchange tour. In 2014, the founding president of the US-Russia ICC, John Ing, sent out a letter to all district governors in the United States. My district, on a side, is an international district, so I represent both Canada and the United States. John was requesting district support and an assignment of a district representative to the Russia-US ICC. I immediately raised my hand, which led to an amazing adventure into the Russian culture. I attended my first meeting in Houston, Texas, and at that time volunteered to be a committee secretary. As secretary, I organized a friendship exchange with past District Governor Nadia Pop to tour European Russia from the Crimea to St. Petersburg in 2015. This trip was my first exposure to European Russia, very different from the Far East. This ICC tour gave our team of 4 Rotarians the opportunity to view and participate in multiple ceremonies of the Great Patriotic War. May 9th victory celebrations, we interacted with gracious hosts and participated in community service projects. We were taken to the opera, the symphony, at Cossack Village. Will you remember last week, Carmen mentioned that Charles and I had a mock wedding. Please know that that's a mock wedding, but it was great fun. We visited Red Square, the Space Museum, and of course, we rode throughout the fabulous Moscow metro. As we became more comfortable in our abilities to navigate the cities without a Russian aid, we made several excursions on our own in both Moscow and in St. Petersburg. In year 2 of my involvement in the US-Russia ICC, I was appointed president. The experiences and skills learned as secretary laid the groundwork for a Canada-Russia ICC. It was at that time that I started to think about and plan a process for such an undertaking. In 2016, we held our US-Russia AGM, Annual General Meeting, in Vladivostok. The AGM and ceremonies lasted 3 days. Upon completion of my ICC work, I started off on my 3rd Russian adventure with a girlfriend who met me in Vladivostok. We boarded the Trans-Siberian for a month-long excursion across Russia. The trip was amazing, many challenges and adventures. We booked our passage from Victoria, allowing for multiple stops, touring Ulan-Ude, surrounding areas, including the Ivolginsky Datsun in Buryatia, which is 23 kilometers outside of Ulan-Ude, and many interesting villages. We took local transportation throughout the area without incident. The Buryat people were so ready to assist obvious senior citizen tourists. With each successful encounter, our confidence grew to a point where we knew we could handle most situations. We boarded our train once again and found that we were sharing our compartment with 2 young soldiers, male soldiers. They had the bottom bunks and we had the top. These 2 lads were very respectful of their 2 70-year-old roommates. I have limited Russian language skills, but I was able to tell them that we were like their grandmothers and they had to be good boys. And they were very nice boys. I have limited language skills again, but with the help of our iPhones, we were able to have great conversations. We both learned much about one another. And for me, I learned about the lives of young soldiers and the expectations, considerations, and consequences leading to military service. Our next stop was Irkutsk, and then on to Olkhon Island in Lake Baikal via local bus and ferry. All accommodations were made from Victoria using local guest houses. From Irkutsk, we once again boarded a train and prepared to tour the Golden Ring, ending in Moscow. I then phoned PDG Nadia Pop for a meeting where we discussed the potential Canada-Russia ICC. Nadia then identified possible Russian officers, allowing me to leave Russia equipped with a formalized plan. Now, as PDG myself, I had a number of contacts across Canada, but like Russia, Canada is very large. Many Rotarians are interested in Russia, but they hesitate to commit to an ICC. I was so fortunate to have PDG Gail Nepper from Alaska participate in our monthly Zoom meetings. Gail shared her experiences and knowledge, assisting with the development of our charter document. The first 3.5 years of ICC development consisted of monthly Zoom meetings and multiple efforts to promote our ICC across the 23+ Canadian districts. We attended international conventions in Atlanta, Toronto, and Hamburg, sharing House of Friendship booths with the US-Russia, France-Russia, and Canada-Russia ICC. I also attended a peace conference in Houston to promote ICCs. Let's see. We organized the we organized the Canada-Russia party in Toronto. And please let me know that, or I want to let you know that without the help of your newest honorary member, that party would have been very, very difficult or almost impossible. Joan Barrett was a fantastic party coordinator if you ever need anyone to help you out in her area. So thank you, Joan. Formal thank you. It started out now as a dream to share our Canadian culture with our Russian neighbors finally came to fruition. We had our charter ceremony at the Hamburg International Convention. So we now have a fully operative Canada-Russia ICC. The Canada ICC differs from many ICCs. Our projects have included mentoring university students, prompting friendship and professional exchanges, and working with our clubs to become more accepting and eager to learn about the Russian culture. Our latest project had to be put on hold due to COVID, but we hope that it will become a reality once our worlds regain some sort of normalcy. And that project is a New Generations volunteer program. We had our volunteer, we had our hosts, and we had travel plans organized. However, our borders all shut down. Now we just need a healthy world and we can get back to sharing our experiences with one another. For me, success of a program cannot be measured until that program continues without your leadership. And I'm so proud to introduce you to our new ICC president, and that's Ian Brown. Ian is the past president of my Rotary Club and his, obviously, Sydney by the Sea Rotary Club in Sydney on the Vancouver Island. Ian has introduced a full new dimension to our ICC, and the committee is thriving. Before I pass you over to Ian so that he can talk to you about some of his goals for the next coming years, I just want to say that our programs of mentoring students from Irkutsk, our district has mentored 9 students. I placed them throughout the island and the United States in Pacific Northwest Washington. That program has been very successful, but unfortunately it's on hold as well because my good friend Vladimir Donskoy has retired from the university. So now we need to have someone else take his place to promote the sending of these students to us, where we set up opportunities for the students to mentor businesses, Canadian businesses or US businesses, with actual hands-on experience. And in Vladimir's words, it's to take theory and put it into practice in a democratic environment. So it was fabulous. Our friendship exchanges have been fabulous. The promotion of any exchanges across Russia, when we're sent the information, we pass on that information. And I'm very happy to say that the last one that was promoted prior to our Hamburg convention, we had about 20 Canadian Rotarians who participated, 5 of which was from my own club. So that's fabulous. So now I would like to introduce you to our new ICC president, Ian. Ian, would you like to say a couple of words?
Thank you, Judy, and hello to everyone from Victoria. Judy and I are not very far away, but of course everyone else is. Judy has been talking about Russia in our Rotary Club for quite some time, and actually as the Hamburg International Conference started to appear on the horizon, I asked her if there, because we were going to be close going to Hamburg, if there was any way that we might be able to visit Russia, because it's something that many of us wanted to do. And she said, of course. So she started the ball rolling with the ICC and with the International Traveling and Hosting Fellowship. And with Irina from Sakhalin Island, I think I have that correct, or hope I do. Her and others arranged an amazing tour for about 60 of us from from North America, from Puerto Rico, a whole bunch of areas. We had a wonderful visit in St. Petersburg and Moscow and the Golden Circle communities. My favorite was the winter hotel because it's like Christmas there all year round. So that started, and then Judy felt that it was time to pass the reins a little bit. And so she started working on me. And then I found out, like you did, that she was handgun qualified. So my resistance somewhat evaporated. And that's where we are today. So we've been trying to keep the Canada-Russia ICC alive for the past year, which is really, that's probably my #1 goal. In these times, it would be very easy to take a break. But as you know, once the momentum stops, it can be very, very difficult to get it going. And Michael, you and your colleagues in St. Petersburg are really taking advantage of the opportunity that Zoom presents us. And I would share your perspective that continuing these sort of connections is not only a good idea, I think it's essential to have these multinational exchanges, because even though we may be able to travel again in the not too distant future, I wonder whether we're ever going to be able to travel as freely and comfortably as we might have previously. So things are going to change. Searching for something to do at the meetings other than, just share anecdotes, we started to introduce speakers and presentations. And we've been trying to focus on the sort of the cultural differences and similarities between the two nations. I think one of our most fun ones was getting our Russian friends and the Canadian friends to share their Christmas traditions. So we had a really cool meeting where people talked about what they cooked and what their favorite parts of Christmas were, and that really helped bring us together. We're introducing different types of speakers. Next month, we have a young lady from North Vancouver Island who went on the TV program Alive and lived on her own out in the wilderness for 58 days, some crazy length of time. And, another one of those strong woman stories that we're seeing more and more. She scares the dickens out of me, a bit like Judy does, but it's fascinating to listen to this. And the reason that we're going in that way as an adjunct to the cultural topics between the two countries is that we feel that the future of the ICC certainly rests on the backs of the young people that will be participating in exchanges between the two countries in the future. So we're hoping that if we can develop a model where we have speakers, presentations that are interesting to young people as well as we old people, the chances of getting them to zoom in and start to learn about the ICC in the two countries will be enhanced. And the New Generations program, my oldest son, who's kind of hovering in the background here, was going to be our first participant, planning to go to the East, which Judy referred to. That was everything was when everything was shut down. And we're hoping we still will be able to do that exchange. Him, Greg, my other son, Jeff, and we all work in our family business. So we will struggle a bit to do without him for 6 weeks, but we're going to, work hard to be able to see if we can put that together, because we think it can be a model for future exchanges where, someone can go for 6 weeks, because the previous time frames longer than that, I think it's getting increasingly difficult to find people who can sort of check out of their regular life, their work, etc., and take that for that length of time. So I don't think I have too much more to share. We've taken up a fair bit of time here now, and I don't have any really good jokes that I'm willing to share. So I think if I can just hand that back to Judy and Michael and just say thank you to all of you who continue to keep the spirit of international exchange alive. And we're looking forward to hopefully meeting many of you in person one day in the not too distant future.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. I'm sorry that it doesn't appear that the file will send.
Okay.
Over to
Michael,
you,
can I-
Michael.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, without the slides, which we may ask you to give us at another time, because I'm sure they would be interesting. Thank you very much for your update. And I'd like for all of us to give Judy and Ian both a round of applause for their efforts this evening. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it, guys and gals. We appreciate it. It's question time. And if you have a question, please raise your hand. I will try to call on you and get you to Judy or Ian and answer a question. Yes, Randall, you had your hand up first.
I always have a question.
Yes.
I just would like to ask both of you, Ian and Judy, if you could explain to us a little bit more about the New Generations vocational exchange. What was planned to happen? What is it all about? Because our club is unfamiliar with it. And where were the participants going to go and things like that?
Ian, do you want me to take this, or do you want to do
Yes,
it?
I think you have the broadest perspective on it.
Okay. The New Generations program is a program that's sanctioned by Rotary International, but it's not funded by Rotary International. So it is a program that is organized club to club. So for instance, our club, the Sydney by the Sea Rotary, approached Irkutsk Bakal Club and asked them if they would like to participate in this program. And they were pretty excited about it. So knowing that it doesn't provide financial assistance, and knowing that it does require that the host club provide a meaningful volunteer experience, it's quite a bit of work. So Once you have a club that will agree, yes, we will take one of your students. We sent the CV. In this instance, it was Greg Brown. We sent his CV to Vladimir Donskoy. He reviewed it. He presented it to the university in Irkutsk. They agreed to have him teach a program for a month. And Vladimir organized in Irkutsk a home host and university host for him. So here, the volunteer in this program, the objective is to give the volunteer both cultural and practical experience in an international country. The expenses are covered completely by the volunteer. That includes the visa, the medical insurance, incidentals, all personal expenses. But the host club provides home hosting. So they'll give them breakfast, they'll have a bedroom for them or a bed. The expectations of this program is that we are all learned and motivated by this interaction. We learn more by doing, so we learn more about the business practices, we learn more about the cultural practices, and we then further the service above self as well. Selections, volunteers have to be 20 plus. No top end, which is pretty exciting because Ian and I could go. Hey, Ian, there you go. Okay, no top end, but we do have a bottom end, but that was set by us, right? You, the clubs that are participating, you set your boundaries. Okay. It's a fabulous program. The reason you haven't heard about it, Michael, is because very, very few clubs have heard about it. And it's the same as here in Canada and across the States. It's not a reciprocal program, doesn't have to be. You can send someone to Russia and never have anyone come here, or you can keep professionals here and not send anyone there. But I think it's a great start, and we were well on our way. And I was hoping to be able to proudly show it to our other clubs across Canada that this is what we can do. But now we've just planted the seed, and we have to once again wait for a healthy world. Does that help, Michael?
Yeah, it was Randall's question, but yes, thank you very, very
Oh,
much.
sorry.
So, no, that's fine. So Randall, I think she answered your question. All right, yes, Renya, Renya, you have a question? Go right ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were considering the possibilities of moving that online, because, you know, everything's moving online as we've been discussing. So since it's a learning experience, there are still ways to engage in business and business mentoring over the internet.
Absolutely.
Possibility. That's another alternative. It may be another way to get some young people involved, because it's probably going to take some high-tech service or techniques in order to make it happen. And if younger people were involved in it with those high-tech skills, that may be another reason for them to be involved, but sharing information between Russia and the United States. Okay.
I'd be happy to talk more, because I have an internet education business that I'm building.
Okay. Very good. Well, there you go. There's a possible connection. You and Judy might be able to match up. If you want to put your email addresses in the chat box, you can exchange, or if you want to notify Randall and both write to him, he can send it to you, but it'd be easier for you to put them in the chat box and get them from each other. So Judy, if you and Renya put your email addresses in there, that would be helpful. Next question. Anybody else have a question? Irina, there you are. I see you down there, dear. Question.
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for such an interesting topic. The question is, what was it about Russia that attracted you to come here for the first time? And what probably would be important for us to pay attention to attract more Rotarians to ICC, to different ICCs?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll have a go at that one first, Judy.
Please.
Sure.
And hello, Irina. Irina was one of our hosts at the meeting when we were in St. Petersburg.
Right.
For myself, my wife, and a couple of others that were on the exchange, I think the primary motivation for visiting Russia was to get a a picture of the reality of Russia as opposed to the drinking the Kool-Aid from the perspective of the Western politicians and the media. We had a little group of 5 women and myself, my wife, and 4 other A-type women went to India a couple of years ago. And it was a fascinating trip, but a very, very difficult one. We didn't go and stay just in a 5-star hotel in Delhi. We went to the most polluted city in the world and you know, walked in the Ganges, and anyway, we had a tremendous experience. And then because of the challenges, our group bonded very, very well. You know, in times of adversity, often groups do come together that they wouldn't in as well as they do in regular times. And it was that subset of that group that were part of the people going to Russia. But what we found when we went to India, even though you think you know something about some of these countries, you really don't until you get a hands-on the ground look. And it was the same thing when I went to Africa. Judy's been on NIDs. I've been on NIDs. We've been to clubs in South America, and we thought, well, Russia's the one that one of the major ones that we really only have a complete outsider's perspective on. So this is a wonderful opportunity to find out what it is. And I have to say that I've never been more surprised in a positive way than I was when we had the experience in Russia. I mean, you know, I can be candid here when we're trying to understand. The message that we often get is that Russia's kind of, you know, is sort of baling wire and duct tape. And it's so not that. And it was actually embarrassing to go into the underground in Moscow and see that, and to have viewed the pictures of the country after the Second World War, and then going to St. Petersburg and Moscow and some of those other, and seeing what wonderful restorations and transformations were done, and experience the warmth and the comradeship, in appropriate word, I guess, with the Russian people. It was really nothing short of amazing. So I guess if I boiled it all down, the reason that I'm keen to help make the ICC work is I think we have an obligation to help other people have those same kinds of experiences and understanding, because clearly this is a long-term program, but it's getting to know each other in those ways that's going to keep us all safe in the future. Yeah. So, yeah, so that's my, sorry, long answer, but that was kind of exciting thing.
Thank you, Ian. It's not unusual, Ian, that we have visitors come to our St. Petersburg club. Not now, but I mean, in normal times, come to our meetings and just tell us how surprised pleasantly they are about what they find in Russia. Because before they come over, they don't quite know. They hear stories, but after they get here, they're pleasantly surprised. And it's not all bears and vodka. It's not all barbed wire and duct tape. It's actually a civilization that has many of the same things we have around the world. So we hear this often from people who get excited about coming here. So, and I know Irina, just the opposite, last year or 2 years ago, going to the United States and studying on the East Coast and working for a while, she was very, very, very excited about being over there and all the things that she got the chance to see. So I think that's part of it, because for so many years, Russia and the United States and Russia and Canada are those two areas were separated by the Cold War when all of us on the screen were young. Probably Rami's probably the only one that wasn't around at that time. But during the Cold War, we knew that was never going to happen, that they would never get together. And once the doors opened, people came and they found out that it's not what they thought it was. So I think that's where the excitement comes. Next hand, anybody else have a question? We still got Judy and Ian here, probably for another 5 or 10 minutes. Any other questions?
Michael, I have another, if there's nobody else.
Oh, Randall. Yes, sir. Go right ahead, Randall. Jump
I'm
in.
just curious, because of the focus the both Ian and Judy have mentioned about exchanges and youth exchanges, are the Rotaract clubs in Canada participating in the ICC? And is that perhaps an area of opportunity to try and connect young people in both countries that way?
Yeah, maybe I'll start on that one and Judy can fill in. Yes, within our group, we are still in pilot project mode for the presentations. I think after we have this next one, we're going to have a chat about opening up the attendees to more broadly. We've kept it relatively small now while we kind of work through the technical challenges. And being, generally older people, we hate looking stupid in front of the young people with respect to technology. So very soon we will be taking more active steps to introduce the Rotaract and the younger. We have a very young Rotary Club in Victoria. And I think that's a perfect idea, Randall, to get them, because they've already embraced Rotary, and then putting them into this environment where they can see what might be possible would be excellent. And I think also the Renia's, excuse the pronunciation, her suggestion about the Zoom is it seems like a great opportunity to introduce some of these young people. That I really like the idea of exchange sort of teaching. Greg was going to talk about manufacturing business operations in Canada because of our business. And, I used to teach in the business school. So getting some of us older folks or the younger folks to go online and do a presentation for an hour on topic A, B, C, or D, I think would be an ideal thing, because it's going to be hard, especially for the young people, to take a long trip and be away from their careers and their families for a length of time. So maybe Zoom will be a huge advantage there as well. Judy?
Yes. I think that's definitely an opportunity, and it's something that perhaps we could focus on until the world opens up. However, I think while Zoom is great, when there is an opportunity for face-to-face and body in country, it is a far more valuable experience. So I think maybe we can work both ends towards the middle until everything opens up, and then we should just go off. I do want to say one thing too. I was a bit naive when I thought about starting our ICC. I did not realize how difficult it would be. There are many, many people across our vast country that are a bit hesitant to take a step into the unknown. Charles, you'll remember how difficult it was when we started to put together our ICC tour. To tell you the truth, out of all of the ICC members across United States, I was only able to convince Charles, and Charles was because he was a member of my own district. Finally, Carmen came on board because John Eng did a little arm twisting, and then Ken Thompson came on board, and I'm not sure who twisted his arm, but somebody did. And all of us came back as lovers of traveling to Russia. So that, to me, that's what it takes. It takes the personal experience of actually being there. But when we can't have that experience, then Zoom is a great second option. Does that help?
Thank you, Judy and Ian, both. And again, that's what we're trying to substitute right now, because we're doing the best we can as a club to provide this connection between the two countries, between several countries in Russia. And this is the only way to do it right now until things change. So another question. Yes, Stan, go ahead, Stan.
Thank you very much, Judy and Ian. Very nice presentation. I'm wondering how many districts have joined as members of the Canada-Russia ICC?
How many governors have signed? I
Correct.
have 2, 4, 5. 5 governors have signed.
Okay.
And that's a very difficult process, Stanley, because most of the governors know nothing about ICCs
Right.
and are hesitant to put name to paper. But
Yeah,
we're working on that. And we don't charge fees. That's where we're different too. There are no fees. There's no cost to the
okay.
governor,
Mhm.
but it's still a barrier.
Yeah, we reduced our fees significantly to make it less of a
Yeah.
barrier hurdle. But you're right, it is difficult. What are you talking about? ICC, what does that
Yeah.
mean, etc.? Yeah.
And why should we?
Right. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Okay, all right. Go ahead, Gabriella. Got a question, Gabriella?
Yes, thank you. I have a completely different question. Does any one of you has experiences with Interact? So we have Rotaract, but also Interact could be interesting to include young people, very young people from the age of 14. Is there any experience from your side?
Joan's got her hand up. Joan?
We have an Interact group as well as a Rotaract group, and we are just in the process in this past year, COVID's made it hard, of trying to get them to join some of these. Now, I did have a couple of Rotaractors come to one of the meetings that the Canada ICC, but you know, it's difficult because their schedules are so different and they write exams all at different times in their schooling. But we have just, our particular club here in Scarborough, Ontario, Canada, we have just reached out to all of them and are hoping that come the fall, we will have some regular members coming out. And I think it's important because they don't join Rotary, and somewhere in the middle, something falls off the end. So we're working on that and the Interact group, and we're also going to have the first early act in our district for inside the big city.
Wow.
We're working on that too for the fall. But COVID has affected that because they're not going to school.
Okay. Carmen?
Thank you.
Yes, I just want to mention that NIAN, which is the North American Youth Exchange Network, is working on virtual youth exchange. And this is a great opportunity for young people who can't travel to engage in youth exchange through a virtual program. So I would, if you want to get Interact involved, these virtual exchanges that they're doing now are a great way to get involved.
Okay. And again, anybody who has questions, 1 second, Charles. Anybody who has questions on any of these issues that we're asking about, if you put a note in the chat box, Randall goes through these notes and we'll put them in the minutes, and then you can see the minutes and then contact the people from there afterwards. But if you have a particular interest, go to the chat box, say like you did, Carmen, just with the NIAID thing you were talking about, put the terminology in there and a contact, and people can contact you and we can see about making the connection. So if you'll please do that. Charles, you were next.
Well, I just wanted to know where the Christmas hotel is.
I don't know.
I think it's in Ivan Novo. I have a picture. Our incoming district governor, Lorna Curtis, and I put on the wardrobe for the sort of king and queen of the winter or something. So one of these days, I hope to be able to purchase one of those costumes and bring back to Canada, because it was cool.
Maybe you're talking about Father Frost and his snow maiden, probably.
Yeah,
right?
there you go.
Yeah.
That's it.
Charles, that's in Kostroma.
Kostroma, yes, perfect.
Yeah, Kostroma. We, when I did the Golden Ring tour, we went there for dinner one evening, and yeah, it was that was a very enjoyable evening.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay. it's 8:15 here. We're going to need to bring all the questions and answers to an end. We got just a little bit more to go through with some notes we have to get through in the meeting tonight. On behalf of all of us, we'd like to thank Ian and Judy. Thank you for answering our questions. Thank you for giving us some ideas. Thank you to the rest of you who popped in with some ideas about the youth exchange and about the Early Act and other parts of this, the online with the interface, with the internet. All these are good ideas and we can make them happen. As I said, most of the people here on the screen are senior. We've got some experience behind us. We have gone through some of these things and therefore we can make them happen. It is possible. There's nothing standing in our way. Just us not doing the work is the only thing that's going to prevent us from making this happen. So if we choose to do it, we can work together. Certainly this is the format here at our club for you to come visit us and talk about it, but certainly we should work on it. So I'll save those for my closing comments before I close for the evening. We've got just a couple more items to get through. And what I'd like to talk about next is I'd like to talk about our project we have. We just had, I guess about 3 or 4 weeks ago, probably maybe 5 weeks ago, we had a club down in Houston who decided to fund a full child for our center, for our rehabilitation center that we have here. And it went over very well. We picked up a second child. The second child, let me get to my screen here. Second child was the young lady here, Paulina, and she was our number 2. We have almost got enough funds now to go for child number 3. Our goal this year is that we're trying to get 10 children this year if we can. They're about 2,500 euro for each child, and the children go through an extensive amount of therapy. When you look at Makora, the young boy Randall was talking about earlier, he had to be wheeled in a wheelchair, could not even walk at all when he arrived. He went through 3 months of therapy, left with braces and a fresh new pair of shoes designed specifically for his feet. He has come back a second time and now he's a bundle of joy. He still has braces, but he's walking uninhibited, that he doesn't have to hold on to your hand or to the walls anymore. He's making it around. Paulina just got started recently. She's in the early stages of it right now, but she's progressing also. And she's another one that is very photogenic. When you go see her, she's smiling from ear to ear, a beautiful, beautiful young little girl. She's much younger than Makor, but she's going to be getting through the program and we're working on our third one. So this is our one signature project for our club. We're not big, we can't take a lot of projects, but this is ours and we're working on it. We take all types of donations. I don't care if you want to give it to me in Indian rupees, you want to give it to me in Spanish dollars, Malaysian dollars, Canadian, whatever, whatever money you want to give us, we'll take it any way you can, because we have ways of getting it into the banks and then getting it into the hands of these people. We have several of us who are expats here from several different countries. We deal with several different banks, so we have ways of transferring funds and making that happen. So if any of you are interested at all, we certainly are open up to your contributions, but this is going to remain our signature project. As I said, we'd like to try and get 10 children this year, if we can, this calendar year, if we can. We got 2, working on 3, 7 more to go after that. So that is our work and that's where we're headed. We get a joy out of seeing these young children come around and being able to walk. And I would ask Randall, how long is that video, Randall? Only 3 minutes, I think, 3 or 4 minutes? Do you have it available?
I don't have it available right here.
You don't have it available. Okay, all right.
But we could show
We'll
it
show
next
that-
week.
we'll show
We
that-
can show it next week, and that's a
That's
reason for
right.
everybody to come back.
We'll plan on it on our next week. Yeah. And right now it's all in Russian. And right now I have just contacted 2 different companies to see about getting it translated into English so that I can put subtitles on English across the bottom, not to replace the words, but translate it so that it's in subtitles. And because it's all in Russian right now, but you can see the joy of the mother and the child, and he is a boy. He's just a bowl of energy. Makor wants to run around and do everything he can. So he wants to even climb the rock wall they got for climbing. He wants to get on that. So he is just full of energy and bubbling over. And the video is very, very well done by the center itself. But it's all in Russian right now. So Yes.
Michael, I found it and I'm willing to try for 30 seconds to see if I can make this work properly.
All right.
And if
Very
it
good.
fails, tell me it's failing so that I don't
I will talk to
torture
you.
Just
Tell me
one
when it's
second.
on and I'll tell you if it's working or failing.
Okay. No, it's not going to work for me because my computer's not set up for the video here. Next
Okay,
week.
All right. Next week we'll have it far. We're going to have another bunch of folks coming back for the Germany ICC group next week. But I did want to talk about that project and let you know it doesn't matter what kind of denomination and it doesn't matter what kind of amount. You want to give us $10, you want to give us $1,000. We don't mind. It's from your club or individuals. We'll take your collection and it goes 100% of it goes directly to the center. 100%. And whenever we get up to the number where we have 2,500 euros equal value, then they assign a child. But they don't assign a child until we get to that number each time, because they're trying to go other places also to get contributions, which is not working very well for them, but they are trying other places and they don't want to promise a particular child and then not be able to deliver on that particular child. But they got numerous children. I mean, lots of them that are looking for help. Most of them, either they don't have a mother or they don't have a father. Usually that's the way most of them come in. One or the other's not there. And the parent has to stay with them while they're going through the therapy, because the parents learn the therapy themselves so that when they go home, they can keep the massaging and the bending and the exercising going for the children, not so that the children go back home and then relapse back into the way they were before. It has to be continued by the parents, the agreement, otherwise they don't get into the program. So it's a very, very good thing. I will go to my next slide. Let me get back to where I was. And this is our schedule coming up. We had, of course, on the 14th, we just had Judy here. And Ian was working with her on the Canadian ICC. Next one is going to be George Dienenthal from Germany, who's going to be talking to us about the German-Russian ICC. And then Sharon's going to finish it up at the end of April, talking about the Center for Citizen Initiatives. So you can see that we're having 3 of the ICCs now. I will continue to talk with Felix down in Israel and see if maybe in the month of May or June, we can line up something for probably June for the Israel-Russian ICC. And we need to see if we can't get these together. I would like to find out, and I don't know, I have to ask the question from everybody, because we have so many people involved in ICCs on the screen. Is there a Rotary ICC in charge of all the ICCs?
Yes.
There is.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Very good. So I'd like to talk to them and find out who else is on the list and who else can I get to that's working with Russia to come in and talk to us. If it's Israel or anybody, I don't care if it's Spain or France or anywhere else. I would like to see that we can possibly bring them in and talk about the Russian connection with their country in an ICC. So, David, you were going to make a comment? One second, Judy. I think David
you could contact Cyril Martin, who was the chair of the secretariat,
okay.
and he could probably Stan or I could send you his email coordinates.
Okay, thank you very much, David. Sure, Judy, you had a comment?
Michael,
Yeah.
Olga Holmagorova, who's on the line here, she's responsible for all the ICCs, or she's overseeing ICCs
Good
in Russia.
evening. Good evening, Mr. President Michael. Good evening.
Good evening, Olga.
Randall. I'm sorry, you have very nice meetings every Wednesday when I'm on the way from work. Now I'm on a, you can see, and great meeting last Wednesday. And now I'm very much inspired as well. Sorry, it's street noise. And I have something to say, but probably not now. Because what I think we are missing, and it's obvious also from what you just asked, is information. And if we can maybe dedicate in one of your meetings, I don't know, 10 minutes maybe, to my small talk about it and some
Sure.
suggestions.
No, we can fit that. We can fit that in, Olga.
Sorry?
We can fit. Yes, we can fit it in. We'll make room for it.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Randall, you have her connection, right?
I
Yes.
have
Yes.
not good connection now
Yes.
because I'm on a street,
Right.
and before I
Okay.
was in the metro.
Okay. All right.
But generally, we have 22 ICCs now in Russia.
Okay.
Just a week ago, we signed a new one. It's ICC Russia, Austria.
Awesome. Okay.
And that is very inspiring one because they have already a project that they started. And okay, thank you for this meeting. It's very,
we'll
very
be-
inspiring and helpful.
Thank you. We will be in touch, Olga. I will follow up this next week. We'll be in touch. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay. Judy, you had a comment?
I just wanted to state that our Rotary International overseer of all ICC programs is Elena Kushner. And Elena can answer any questions that you might have. She's
Okay.
fabulous to work with.
Okay, thank you very much. That's, all this information is very, very good. I just want to try and find out what we can do, and we're trying to do that already. So we got about 4 more minutes until our meeting is going to be over, but we'll be hanging around to chat afterwards for a few minutes. But in these last 4 closing minutes, I'd just like to make a few comments. I did 26 years in the United States military when Russia was our enemy in the Cold War. I didn't know anything about Russia except for the military information that was provided to us. And when I got the call to come to Russia from a civilian company, asked me to come there for help, I did not hesitate, but my family thought I was crazy. I had just came from India to the United States on a trip where I'd been working in India for 6 years. I came to the United States, got a message. A couple of days later, I bought a ticket, got on a plane, flew to Ekaterinburg, Russia, January 25th of 2004, minus 25, a meter of snow, 3 o'clock in the morning. Everything is dark, and there's a bear standing far away from me in the terminal. It wasn't really a bear, but it was a 6'3" Russian lady in a shuba. So it looked like a bear. And that was my welcoming to Russia. And I'm still here 15 years later. Not that I didn't leave and come back and forth and so forth, but I'm still here. And I found that Russia is not what it was advertised to be from the outside in. From the outside in, they don't know Russia. And many Russians don't know the United States. In the United States, they think everybody has a 10-room house, everybody drives a Maserati, and they do 200 miles an hour on the highway all the time. That's their impression of us in America. Well, we know that's not true, but that's what they see on the movies. Well, I saw it on the movie. Yeah, you did, but you don't really know what's going on. So I think these exchanges are absolutely good. They're absolutely going to help build people. If we can get younger people in their 20s and 30s who are going to be the future leaders coming up in the next 10 years or so, if we can get them involved, if we can get them to at least talk to each other, see each other, start out online if we have to, start out in the virtual world if we have to, and then plan for them to meet once we get back together and we can travel. I think all of this will work. I think all of it can happen. I'm not talking Pollyanna in the sky, thinking everything's going to be perfect. It's not. There will always be problems. As long as politicians are involved, there will be problems. So we just have to deal with those problems and figure out how we're going to work with them. But you folks have come to Russia. You got excited. You thought it was great. Some of our Russian friends on board have gone to the United States. They got excited. They thought it was great. I think that we can work between the countries. Canada, Russia, US, Russia, and Germany, Russia is represented here tonight. And I don't know if Felix is still on board, but he's with the Israel side. So it is possible. What I offer is that tell people about Russia the way you really know. If Ian buddies inside of a company that he worked for, even though he's private owner now, but if he was in a company, those 5 would ask him a lot of questions. It would open up their minds to the possibility that maybe they want to come to Russia when they found out how good it was. We need to tell other people about Russia. And I know here in Russia, I talk to a lot of people about America. I try to dispel their wild beliefs that they hear on the news and movies and television. It's not quite that way. It is different. So if we talk to people, if we open up our hearts and we're honest with people about what we see and what we feel, I think it will grow. I think it will get better. We as a club here are dedicated. We will be here to continue to be that link in the middle between Russia and between all these countries that are represented here tonight. We will help right now. The only way we know how is by virtual right now. That's all we can do. But we can be planning for what's going to happen when it's no longer virtual. And you all, of course, are welcome to come see us and visit us. Of course, we'll be happy to have you here once we can get out of this regular routine we're in now. So please keep smiling. Don't let your emotions get down. Don't think so many negative things. It will be positive. It will work. It just takes all of us working together. And we just cannot give up. Those of you who love your country and like Russia, keep working. Those of you who love Russia and like the other countries, keep working. If you just keep that in mind, it will work together and will happen. And if you got younger members that you can bring in, I certainly think it's a positive thing. So I teach classes online on Zoom also, and it's not difficult. It's very easy and you can interact. I interact with Russians and Malaysians, and Ukrainians frequently online to teach classes. So it's not difficult. It has been made a lot easier in the past year. So just keep going, don't give up. And we're going to have another speaker next week. George Diedenthal is going to be here to talk about the German connection. And that should also be very, very interesting. And we welcome you back the rest of the spring. Randall's lining up speakers. If you know some more good ones, let him know and he'll put them on the marquee and cue them in. And I will figure out here in the planning for the meeting how to get Olga to give us a presentation next week, maybe for 10 or 15 minutes, maybe not the whole night, whole evening, but at least a little while. Let her talk a little bit on this. So I'll get together with her. Thank you all very, very much. I don't know if you have any other questions. I'm going to ring the bell and close the meeting officially.